And Code Pink is a women's-initiated, nonviolent group working for peace and social justice. Our focus is on the war in Iraq. We do try to embody peace in our quest to attain it for the world, and we're very disappointed to find that Alicia was arrested this morning. Up until now, we have not had any serious conflicts with the police, although Code Pink does occasionally participate in civil disobedience. We have generally had very good relations with the police so far. I haven't spoken with them directly. We have posted bail for Alicia, but she's still being held right now, and an attorney from the People's Legal Project is speaking with her at the moment. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Alicia is charged with interference with arrest, and from what we've heard, Glenn was present, I was not. She was just trying to find out what was happening. So thank you for your concern, and I hope that everything works out okay. Thanks.
I'm going to try to be quick, but this is what we have to deal with. We're having our free speech rights. You didn't even realize they're busy lining up behind us in riot gear. So one of their officers realized that's a really bad PR move and decided to move them down. Anyways, I just have two more quick statements, one from Larry Hales and then Ben Kaufman would like to address Carlo Garcia, a young gentleman in this community, and explain just a little bit about him because he's actually a special person that you need to hear something about. So hang on one moment.
As Glenn stated earlier, we have said from the very beginning that any violence that takes place will not be us committing it, that we are dedicated to being nonviolent, and that it would be the police department that would initiate that. They're the ones that we asked to stand down and be peaceful. We had already guaranteed that we would be, but they would not give that guarantee. But it is amazing that this would occur during the so-called Democratic National Convention, and when the platform that is being run is one of hope and change. But this is the face that Denver wants to put on for the rest of the world. And maybe they have not realized it yet, but the rest of the world is watching. And so our police liaison, Les Perry, and Mayor Hickenlooper should realize from this point onward that the world is definitely watching. And one of the things that we demand, we're not asking, is that the police be removed from the park. We have not done anything. So why are the police constantly parading around the park and kicking people and poking them with their batons and telling them to move as they walk in groups of 10 to 12? The police need to leave the park that we have the permit for. That is our demand, one of our demands, and that we expect that be done immediately, that they would be removed from the park.
Excuse me, is it possible to go down a little bit, please?
Ben Kaufman is the last speaker, and then when we do ask questions, if you could address the person you're asking it to, it'll be a lot easier.
Hi, my name is Ben Kaufman. I represent the Mad Society Project in R68. Carlo Garcia, who was arrested this morning, illegally arrested, is my partner in the Mad Society Project, and I'd like to tell you guys a little bit about him so you understand this man's character. Currently, his whole family, his father and 3 brothers, are fighting in Iraq, and he is protesting here today for their voice to be heard as well, to get them out of danger and to end this illegal war as well. And the police, who are just currently behind us in riot gear, who pretend they're soldiers and assault the civil liberties of this country's own citizens, are not the real soldiers. His family is, and they're out there fighting. And he is arrested, expressing his ideals and values for peace and social justice, and he's being suppressed by the police of this city, and that is terribly wrong. He is a great guy, and everyone should be ashamed, especially the city. That's all I have to say.
Are there any questions at this point?
Quick question. You said part of what police were moving in is they said something about bandanas. That was just going to be a peaceful demonstration, or was there actually something behind it? Police should have been peaceful.
There's nothing wrong with people wearing bandanas or masking up, as they call it. I wear a bandana around my neck all the time. Occasionally when we march, we do mask up in solidarity with each other. It's a sign of solidarity. Think about the Zapatistas and their signs of solidarity. It's a message in our left community. So I have a bandana around my neck right now. If he's putting that bandana around his face, does that give the police a reason to come in and start harassing him? Absolutely not. We heard that people were putting on a helmet. Well, God forbid, they got helmets and body pads and weapons on. Why shouldn't people put on helmets? People should be putting on body armor. People should be putting on helmets, because it's a scary place right now to be in this city. You got a bunch of cops walking around with all kinds of weapons. I encourage people to do it, because right now, I mean, look what's going on. So you put on a helmet, you put on a little body armor because you're afraid of what might happen to you, and lo and behold, that's a crime now too. So you're going to be assaulted for that. It's ridiculous.
Glenn, can I ask you, how does this practically, on the ground, change your interactions with the police? You said truce is over, you're not going to be confrontational, but no more negotiating. What does that practically mean?
Practically, that means a lot of situations that were avoided over the last 2 days, we're not going to be talking anymore. Whatever happens, happens. We're still going to maintain a strong, disciplined, non-violent approach like we have from the beginning. Just because they decide to be violent doesn't mean I'm going to lose my morals and be violent also. So we're going to stay disciplined in our non-violence. But a lot of the situations that were avoided just through communications, we can't trust those communications anymore at this point. So those communications have ended. Your fashion. I don't like you wearing your body armor. So that doesn't give me a reason to hate like that. So you want to come in and start being bully boys and forcing people around and intimidating people, the tensions are going to grow. And that's exactly what occurred last night. The media weren't around to see those tensions. We had a fun, festive protest at the Denver Mint, dressed in costumes, having a good time. There were over 100 police officers there ready to close in on us when we're just having a little bit of fun. You know, so we got to lighten up a little bit. The community doesn't need this kind of tension. The community needs some love and peace right now. We don't need this, but unfortunately, this is what we're getting. So you deal the hand that's dealt to you. You know, you play the hand that's dealt to you.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the suit that's being planned against the Denver police and the Denver
Sure. I mean, that was an illegal detention last night of almost 300 people for a couple of hours. You know, that's a violation of their rights. These people were doing nothing more than engaging in watching the situation that occurred and observing the arrest, which we thought were illegal and unnecessary anyway, but observing to make sure that they were done in a legal manner. So when the city asked for $50 million, the highest amount ever in security, and we see what that money pays for, that money pays for our community members to be brutalized, that's the number that we're going to be asking for then in this lawsuit. If you want to use that money to violate people's rights, then we're going to use that money to make sure that those people's rights were attended to, and we're going to be meeting with our lawyers over the next couple of weeks to see the possibilities of moving forward with that lawsuit. And I think they're just going to become another name in the long list of cities that lose these lawsuits and think it's just a line item budget in the cost of doing security these days. So it's unfortunate, but that's how much our civil liberties counts for, a couple of $1 million.
Glenn mentioned the question of where the decisions were coming from about the way the police behaved. I think it's important to point out that this has been declared a national special security event, which means that ultimately the Secret Service, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security are in charge of security for this event. And we have to ask, are they making the decisions? And we have to ask further, what's the role of the Democratic Party in the decisions to crack down on people and use excessive force and violate civil liberties? We know, we've been told for a long time that the city does not want protesters spoiling the party here. And we wonder, we don't know, but we wonder what the role of the Democratic Party is in suppressing people's civil liberties. We'll take a couple of more questions.
Mark, could I ask you something? Glenn addressed this, but I'd like to get your take on it as well. We talked an hour before this happened last night, and you were telling me how well things were going, how it essentially was a dream scenario for you guys. You were being heard, there was distance. What happened?
What happened is the question. The police had been very restrained up till that point. As Glenn said, we were allowed to march to the Pepsi Center. We were allowed to take the street on the 16th Street Mall. We were cooperating with them. They were cooperating with us. We've had a long history with the Denver Police Department. They know when we give our word about something, we will keep it, and we respect them as well. So that's the question you all need to be asking, is what happened to change that situation?
But can I ask either Glenn or Mark, where do you go from here, though? If you're saying that you're not going to negotiate with the police, won't things just get worse?
Things have already gotten worse. I mean, we just got beat up. We got pepper sprayed. We got arrested. How much worse are they going to get? So you go ask the police, how are things going to get worse? They're the violent ones. You ask them when they're going to stop with the violence. And the other thing, too, let's be clear. You all know the history here in Denver. Columbus Day Parade. We get arrested for coming out and trying to stop that hate speech, for disrupting the public assembly because they had a permit. So, okay, that's a message. Then you have Phelps come into the park where we have the public assembly, calling people God hates fags, a bunch of homos, and all this hate speech. We try to say we have the assembly this time, and we're the ones that get arrested.